So let's imagine that it is in fact possible for you to run faster than the speed of light, and in so doing, travel back in time. It still would be wildly irresponsible.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yes, because Barry, if you were to go into the past, any interaction you had with your parents or yourself, you step on the wrong blade of grass, you have no idea what the consequences to that could be.
No, I know. The butterfly effect, right?
Yes.
I get it. But Bruce, I could fix things.
You could also destroy everything.
I could save her. I could save both of them. I could save your parents.
Harry, these scars we have make us who we are. We're not meant to go back and fix them. And there's nothing broken with you that needs to be fixed. Take it from an old guy who's made a lot of mistakes. Don't live your past. Live your life. Don't let your tragedy define you.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I am Robert.
And this episode, we are doing a spoilerful podcast about The Flash 2023 that came out on June 16th, 2023. Now it's July 1st as we're covering this. So the movie's been out for more than a month and a half. So it's had its time.
We gave it a month.
Yeah, more than a month. And it hasn't been doing that well in comparison. So, Rob, well, let's go into what we're covering, which is The Flash 2023, and I'll just go right into the synopsis.
All right.
Then we'll go into the more details of what's happened since its opening on June 16th. So the synopsis for this particular movie: Barry Allen uses his super speed to change the past, and his attempt to save his family creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. Very short, very sweet, very similar to what we got with the Flash TV series that's been around and just ended recently too, as well, on the CW, which
Did that end already?
That already ended. They ended that series complete. So Grant Gustin is retired as the Flash officially.
I unfortunately gave up on that series a while back ago.
Yeah, a lot of people did, and I don't blame them. Me, I was more enamored within the first 4 seasons, and then towards
that was it.
Yeah, and then after that, it kind of got comedic. It got a little bit to the point of a little exaggerated with certain story parts. But nonetheless, we're talking about The Flash 2023 right now, the movie with Ezra Miller and Michael Keaton, of all people.
Keaton, Sasha Kaye, which I think she did a good job as Supergirl.
I believe she did as well. And then we have Ben Affleck in it as well, and a few other people who came in as cameos. Michael Shannon. Shannon is in it as well. Return of Zod from Man of Steel. So this is director Andy Muschietti's movie, but over the course of what has it been, like 3 years, it's been in developmental hell. It was delayed for a year before it actually came out. Now we finally got it. And Rob, what did it rake in as far as so far? So it's been out since June 16th. What did it make per money at this point?
So overall right now, and we're talking about domestic and overseas, it only has made $218.9 million out of a $200 to $220 million budget. So this movie basically has bombed, and I mean, big time.
It failed, which is really, really sad. And the one thing that I laugh about it is it was very much the most anticipated and the least anticipated movie for a superhero
Right.
film for its time because of the issues that were going on based upon Ezra Miller, all the issues with him personally in his own life, and regarding his representation of the Flash over the years that it was being promoted.
Yeah.
They had I forget what it was called. DC had their own convention that was during the pandemic, and this was one of the movies they were promoting.
This was the whole right. This was the whole thing where, like, because of the whole pandemic thing and things that were supposed to happen live, they decided to do television versions of it, like everything else during the pandemic, which is screw it. Let's just put it on TV because everybody's stuck at the house.
Yeah.
And it's the place where they announced what was it? Black Adam, where the Dwayne Johnson. Yeah. All of a sudden said that the hierarchy of power was going to change. Yeah, it changed all right.
It did, big time, in the opposite way.
It changed for everything that has come out after that already. So,
but DC fandom try to push it. They try to do things online through with San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con at the time, were trying to do virtual events and trying to promote these movies. And a lot of the movies, look what happened with Black Widow when that came out. That went direct to streaming as well in the theaters, but it resulted in a whole, lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson and Disney regarding that, because she was expecting to make money at the box office, and they put it directly. They just literally lied to her and said, well, it's going to come out in the theaters. Now, mind you, at the time, the theaters were closed to some degree, and there wouldn't have been as much money anyway, honestly.
Right.
But they should have delayed it. With this, they delayed it a full year, and there were so many things that we were looking forward to. It had been a while since Ezra Miller had gotten into any heated trouble during that time. Right. It's just everything that was lingering on, and they thought people would forget. Now, my opinions about the movie would be a little bit different based upon, I just look at the movie and not at the actor at this point, but there are things that you have to look at when it comes to the actor itself. There's some things that I found out too regarding the end filming results of the end scene.
Oh, filming. Really? Okay.
Yeah, that was very interesting to me when I heard about it through another podcaster online. And I thought it was pretty cool when I heard that. But with this, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes and you go to the tomatometer, it gets 64% for critical reviews, for actual film critics, whereas with the audience score, it gets an 84.
Right.
But yet it still has not redeemed any money because, those are people that are just pushing in numbers and reviewing it online. Now, the movie itself is going to be a financial bomb, and it's going to be one of the biggest bombs that they've ever had in DC at this point when it comes to a live action superhero film. And I could understand that. I still have high hopes for Blue Beetle, but we don't know. They might pull the brakes and say, all right, pump the brakes a little bit, let's go, and then we're going to put it direct to streaming, and then might go on its way to HBO Max for all we know, but we won't know until that time comes. With this, there were high hopes, and I had high hopes for the fact that as I was looking at the trailers, and once we started seeing a little bit more who was more involved, the more trailers we got, the more information we got, and it looked great. The issue and overshadowing issue is Ezra Miller himself. Correct. Now, as we talk about this, we're going to talk about what we liked about the movie and what we didn't like about the movie, what worked, what didn't work, and then things how they changed within the film itself. So, initial thoughts. We'll go right into our overall initial thoughts. So, Rob, what are your initial thoughts of the movie overall?
Yeah, my initial thoughts are, on this movie, the anticipation of it. At first, I was like, well, I'm not really looking forward to this. And then, of course, as time went by, and you heard people, people who have seen early screenings of it, and test screenings, everybody was praising it. And I was thinking, all right, so I guess this movie's going to turn out to be great. So by the time I got into the theaters and I saw it, I generally liked it. I'm going to say that, be very honest with you. I did like the movie. I did like some of the humor, and I was able to put aside Ezra Miller's problems and just look at his performance in this movie. And I did enjoy it. Did I have problems with certain parts? Sure. Just like any movie you would. But overall, I did like the movie. It's not a perfect Flashpoint movie, just like in the comic books, because this is based off of, Flashpoint. But that being said, yeah, I mean, I did like the movie. It just sucks that this is a movie that came out now, and it should have, like you said, it should have come out a year ago.
Yeah.
But because of the whole Ezra Miller thing and all the problems that Warner Brothers had, and being bought by Discovery, and changing, of course, leadership and who's going to do DC and all this stuff, this movie got way too delayed, and it just kind of gave us it's a good movie, but why do I care? Because this universe is not coming back. DC
it already
is now
changed hands, because by the time this movie came out, we just got hit over the back of the head saying James Gunn's going to change this world.
Correct.
And this is a leftover from the Snyder universe.
Which kind of sucks, because I like the Snyder. I really, really like the Snyder universe. It's just what I don't like is the fact that they didn't let I think Zack Snyder really control this entire universe the way he should have, because filmmakers went ahead and did their own things with other, properties from this, which didn't make it all like cohesive or something. But yeah, it sucks that this is a universe, as Zack Snyder did, that we're not going to see. And of course, because of the whole Henry Cavill thing, I keep saying, what the hell did he do? Because for a person who everybody wants to see as Superman, I heard that there was a cameo also with Henry Cavill in this movie, but they cut it out. They left, other people in here, but not him. So it's a shame that this entire property is in such a mess, and we'll just have to see how James Gunn fix it. But overall, I did like the movie. It wasn't a bad movie. I thought it was entertaining. I thought Michael Keaton, which is not, believe it or not, everybody out there, they say that's their favorite Batman. He is not my favorite Batman, but I thought he, he did pretty well on that.
Yeah.
Sasha Calle, I think did great as Supergirl.
Yes, he did.
And honestly, Ezra Miller he's a good actor. He's just, not the nicest person, and has all these legal problems that we'll talk about. But yeah, it's such a shame. Yeah.
My thoughts were, well, I was anticipating this movie for a long time, and then once all the Ezra Miller stuff came out, because I knew it was in production at that time. During the pandemic and everything that was going on, we hear all these things about Ezra Miller and him getting into trouble, what he has done. And a lot of that was starting to make me feel, do I really want to go see this movie? Do I really want to go see this movie? No. And then I started seeing the trailers. Now they were starting to do promotion. We could actually get to see what's going on. Well, the first two were okay. Then I saw more. Then I saw Keaton. Then I saw a little bit of Batfleck. And then I started seeing a little bit more that intrigued me, going, wow, this looks like a very entertaining movie. So I sucked it up and said, fine, I'm going to go see this movie, because honestly, I'm a superhero fan. That's the whole point of this particular podcast, is that we are into movies that were adapted from comics. Flashpoint is such a huge pivotal point in the DC comics universe, and we had to cover it. And we did cover it to some degree when we saw Infinite Crisis on the CW with the Flash and the Arrowverse with Grant Gustin.
Right.
And they did it pretty okay for what budgeted that they had then. In this case, overall, when I got to go see it, I was like, okay, this is the Flash in the very beginning. Okay. wow, I just got Batman Returns again with Michael Keaton. Now, mind you, that was the first Batman that we ever got in cinematic history, as far as like in cinema. Well,
Right.
aside from the the little serials that they used to do in the 40s, but nobody remembers those. But the fact is that we got Michael Keaton back as Batman. So the at the very end of the movie, I'm like, wow, that was one of the best Batman movies I saw that featured the Flash. Awesome. And literally, that's what it's centered around. They were centering it around that a little bit more about with Supergirl and Cash's input as Supergirl herself. And I thought, okay, they gave us a hint about that, but wow, overall entertaining of a story. Some of the visual effects kind of took me out of it, but I have to sway on a different side from Mr. Kevin Smith when he mentioned it, and you talked about it recently on his podcast, saying, goes, they gave like nods to everybody else with the cameos. But to me, he goes, I knew where they were coming from, but my honest opinion, honestly, you had over a year. You could have invested more. That could have saved the movie a little bit, in my opinion.
Well,
A little
I
bit
mean,
more.
we'll keep talking, keep
We'll
going.
keep talking about that. Yeah. But to me, it's like I only had a little bit, but I did admire the gumption for it of actually putting it out there and what we got. You know, it did look a little bit rudimentary when it came with the CG. Invest a little bit more. That's all I ask. For the fact that we waited this long for this particular movie. Now, mind you, it might have been had to deal with all the legal issues that they've had with Ezra,
Right.
and that's the reason why they had to hold back on it. And it probably went over budget as well. So I really did enjoy this movie. What shocked me was Ezra Miller's acting in it. And I really did enjoy his acting. I could have put aside all the stuff that he had done in his personal life that was exploited in media that we all know that are horrific to a lot of people. But overall, looking at it from a different view and just looking at the movie as a whole, he did well when it came to the character representation on both versions of Barry Allen and what he would did. And I thought it was
Right.
done well. As far as overall, great story. There are little issues when it comes to the actual comic to the film, but nothing's ever 100% perfect in my opinion. It was like I said, I agree with you, Rob. It was very entertaining. I had a few minor points, but that's about it. And like I said, best Batman Returns movie that we've had that featured the Flash.
Okay, so a few things. So while I like, again, I like the Flash. You thought that the Flash, the way he portrayed the Flash was good. I thought, because I don't have anything invested in the Flash. Like the Flash was never a comic book that I read.
Okay.
Recently I have, here and there, but not one that and I started collecting comic books again. So of course I collect, definitely Batman. I'm big in collecting, but the Flash still don't collect it. So I don't have what other fans of that character have, which is a lot of knowledge of his world, how his personality is supposed to be, all these things. And from what I've heard is that there's a lot of people out there that don't like his portrayal of Barry Allen because it's nothing like the comic book version of that.
He's very goofy in this
that
particular version.
Yeah, that being said, yeah, because they said that Barry Allen is not goofy in the comic books. He's lighthearted, but not goofy. The one who's goofy is Kid Flash, who is I forgot the name of
Wally West.
Wally West is a lot more goofy.
Correct.
So,
they kind of made an amalgam of those two characters into this version of Barry Allen at this point.
Correct. So for me, again, I don't have that much investment in the actual character, but I thought he was good. I thought in that, for me, he was fine.
Yeah.
Batman to me is different because to me, like, the more I read the books, the more I go into the lore and stuff like that.
Mhm.
To me, it's important to have somebody that can actually portray that. And I think Ben Affleck, who is also in this movie,
Oh yeah, my favorite Batman.
portrays that very well. Like I always tell people, it's like, you might like Keaton, but Batman is the closest we have ever gotten to the comic book version
Oh, Batman.
of
Yeah,
Batman.
yeah.
So
I
that's
agree.
why I liked it. And you know what? A lot of people like him because at first, everybody was like, it was like Ben Affleck. Oh, I hate Ben Affleck and all this stuff. And people then all of a sudden loved him. Same thing with, Henry Cavill and stuff. But yeah, that was the biggest thing that I saw is like people. Well, I mean, there was a lot of criticisms because of it's funny how you say that, it has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
On Rotten
audience
Tomatoes,
score
84% for the
84
audience score.
Right. So it's 84% audience score for the people who have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think, you and I were talking about this. They did some kind of poll or survey in theaters when this movie came out, and they were doing it for people who were coming out of other movies, not out of The Flash.
Yeah.
And they asked them, hey, would you see The Flash? Or, do you know about The Flash? Or are you going to see The Flash? Or why haven't you seen The Flash? And the biggest thing has been Ezra Miller. Because Ezra Miller's in it, they do not want to support this movie.
Yeah.
Which is something that I don't know why Warner Brothers didn't kind of think about that.
Well, there was talks, and I think I mentioned this a long time ago. It's like if they literally eliminated Ezra Miller out of that and CG'd in Grant Gustin, it would be a completely different movie altogether. Just him overdubbing his voice and
Right.
doing everything and not acting like Ezra a little bit, but at least doing the CGI visual, like the AI stuff that's out there.
It didn't have to be. Yeah, it didn't have to be Grant Gustin. I mean, I think what they should have done, and again, this is just me. I think what they should have done is say, hey, the first 25 minutes of this movie will have Ezra Miller, but when he goes back back to in time to meet himself, that version of the Flash does not look like Ezra Miller.
Yeah, because
and then somehow kill off Ezra Miller and just continue with the person, the new Flash, or
that
or
would
whatever.
be rewriting of the whole Flashpoint. But
because let's be honest, Ezra Miller, I don't think. I mean, he's a fucking idiot for doing everything that he did, but I don't think he's that much of an idiot to say, hey, with all the troubles I have, I don't think they're going to hire me for anything from this point on.
Oh, his career is tarnished with his past events at this point.
It's completely over. So if Warner Brothers,
as well as with this particular movie, and how
so if Warner Brothers would have gone to him and says, "Listen, man, your career basically is over because of all the bull that you have pulled.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna rewrite this, and we're gonna replace you in the Flash. You still have your money, but we're just gonna replace you." And
they could have really redid the movie at a certain point a year ago if they needed to. And
well, guess what?
Said.
This movie has been redone. Well, this movie has been re-edited, or there was like 12 different versions of this movie.
Correct.
Something like that. Something crazy.
Yeah.
And when they filmed it, it has been edited, I think, like 4 or 5 times to have a completely, different feel to it. This movie's a mess.
It's a mess, but I look at this. It's a fun mess that honestly, I'm not one to say, all right, I'm going to buy that bad movie on a Steelbook Blu-ray 4K.
Unfortunately, I know I will, but
I will myself, and it's not something I would say that I would actually watch it again because mainly for the nostalgia purposes of what we saw. Like I said, that I had a little bit issues with the CG.
Right.
But without that stuff, that's what really gave me the feels. We got Batfleck, which is amazing because he's my number one favorite Batman. That's out
mine
there.
too, man. I mean,
we got him, and he was a bit comedic in the very beginning too because of the Lasso of Truth. Just to throw in one of my favorite scenes. He goes, "Oh, what am I doing? Fighting crime all this time. I should really devote and send my money and give it to orphanages and, and to the homeless. And it's like it was a throwaway line, but it was so funny too for the fact that it's like he goes, "Oh well." Yeah, he just talks about his ego and everything else too during that, which is amazing. But we get to see him cool in the blue and gray cowl during the daylight at that as well.
Right.
That was something that we never even saw before. Him on a motorcycle too, which is very
That
different.
motorcycle scene was so. This is why it upsets me. Like it really upsets me the fact that they didn't let Ben Affleck do his standalone movie, which that's what the
It's not
that's
that he didn't want to. He left.
he left because of the whole
Well, it was his
stupidity that was
mental health at that
well,
point.
right, but it was the whole stupidity of the way the studio was handling the whole thing, which is they were getting involved so much
Yeah.
that they weren't letting him. I mean, look, Ben Affleck is, I think, a comic book fan too. So yeah. So they should have let him just kind of, and he's a great director. The guy has already won, 2 Academy Awards.
Mhm.
So they should have let him just kind of take the lead on this, but they didn't. They involved it so much, and they wanted to change things so much. And I guess, yeah, it did affect his health because of all the crap that he was going through. I mean, personally, of course, at the same time, that it didn't help. So when you see Ben Affleck as Batman, especially with that scene in the motorcycle, I was just thrilled to see that. I was like, first of all, the motorcycle was a badass motorcycle. I thought it was way better than the
Dark Knight one with the tumbler.
the Dark Knight one,
Yeah.
the Bat Pod or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Even though that was an iconic scene, that's a legendary iconic scene that you see with when that thing comes
The
out from
tumbler pops
from the
off and
tumbler.
explodes and he comes out.
But man, that motorcycle was awesome, and the way he played it and the action scene on that was just insane. And I love that part of it. I thought it was great. They had Gal Gadot again, as
Who doesn't
Wonder
want her?
Woman, there, and that was nice to see. I would say, because you're like, oh damn, it's the Justice League.
It's
you
like,
know,
and
all
we
you
gotta
need
say
is-
goodbye to it.
all
Unfortunately,
you need is 2 more people there. You just need Jason Momoa, and then you just need Henry Cavill to just be in that scene also.
and
Or
Cyborg too.
and Cyborg. Even though Cyborg, okay, so here's my thing with Cyborg. The character of Cyborg was never an original
No, he wasn't.
member of the Justice League.
No.
I do not understand why
they put that character.
They put that character in there. I just
Yeah,
don't
it should have been
understand
Green
it.
Lantern in all.
If they're looking to do more of a diversity thing, then just have John Stewart be the Green Lantern or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and that's it. They should have done that, but
yeah, they
that
didn't have to get Ryan
Right.
Reynolds
But
come
don't get-
back.
right. But don't get me wrong. I mean, you got 3 missing characters that you'll never see again, or you're not going to see any of these characters again. But
Nah.
it was nice to at least see that part of it, and I was like, oh, that just sucks. And then to know that Henry Cavill was in the movie, and then they took him out, it's just even more upsetting.
All I could say is deleted scenes on a 4K
No,
Blu-ray
they won't even.
steelbook.
I guarantee you, they won't even do that.
Well,
again.
I'm promoting that, and all you listeners out there, please advocate for that, for the fact that we need to see that information.
You
We
know
need
how
to
much?
see that, get visuals. I
Do
don't
you
care.
realize how much probably deleted scenes are for this movie? Since it
I
was
don't
like
care. I'll
it
watch
was
hours upon hours.
it was redone like 4 times, but
I don't care. I'll
I
watch
keep
it.
asking, man. And if Henry Cavill ever listens to this podcast, Henry, the hell did you do? What did you do to Warner Brothers, man? Because man, well, you would Henry Cavill is
It was that mustache. It was that
It- it
mustache
was-
that he did
well,
for
they
Mission
could,
Impossible.
they could blame who what studio did Mission Impossible?
I forgot.
Because you heard about did you hear about that
Paramount,
whole
maybe.
thing? Did you hear about that whole thing about the mustache? So
Yeah.
it wasn't the fact, because he could have shaved it and then just put it on if he was going to do some other shoots,
Yeah, a
or
fake one or whatever.
what
Yeah.
happened was that somehow the filmmakers didn't like each other and they were trying to screw each other.
Oh God.
And that's the reason. And it's like, wow. I mean, the ego in Hollywood is just
Little
they're like
kids.
children's.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it kind of upsets me that, I mean, but yeah, Batman, phenomenal. Just looked great. That was a great scene.
Yeah, and it was great to see those scenes and get that. Like I said, that was one of my favorite scenes, was the intro scene. Of
Right.
course, I love how Barry is just saying that he's there to clean up Batman's mess because it was Falcone Jr. that was doing all this, and he goes, "Why am I here? Why am I?" It's like, I'm at the South Side. Nothing's going on here. Oh crap! And then it
Yeah.
does, and then it just like the building starts falling, and then it's like, Alfred's
Oh my
there
god! So
too.
so what did you think of the baby scene? Because let me tell you, there's been so much uproar about
Oh,
that.
a lot of people are upset, and I knew that when I was watching it. I'm like, he just put a baby in a microwave. Oh
Yep.
my god, there is a scalpel and syringe right near a baby.
My jaw dropped when all I saw was those babies just go right out the window, and I was like,
Yep.
They're really doing this, aren't they? But let me tell you, I love that scene.
I love the scene too.
I love that entire scene. I
As
love the humor
outrageous
behind
as
it, everything.
you have to love that scene. It's so outrageous. Who would actually do that? And
Yeah.
then who would actually film that? So they had the gall to actually put that through. And the
Right.
fact that the microwave bings and he takes the baby out, hands it to the lady after he just misses. Like,
Right.
she just literally is like steps away from falling to like a big crevice that's right there, that from like the building
Yeah.
falling down.
The
And
people that I hear,
she
the people that I
screams.
hear that are upset, of course, are parents.
Of course.
But I found it hilarious. But the one thing that other people compared it to, and I
Mhm.
have to agree with them, they said, so they did that whole slow motion thing.
Mhm.
And here he is, he's doing little things. Okay, so if I do this, that should be able to deflect this here, deflect that there. And they're like, yeah, they're trying to follow Quicksilver
Mhm.
in the movie The X-Men.
Yeah, that was definitely from what was it? Days. Oh, well, they did it in Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past. And the thing is that movie, and I like Days of Future Past, but
I love that movie.
really set
The tone,
the bar
Yeah,
for a speedster. And even though when you have people compare Quicksilver to
the Flash.
the Flash is still the fastest character in any comic book property.
Correct.
But that scene just made Quicksilver seem like he was the fastest thing ever. But it was just a beautifully done scene, and it just seems like this movie was trying to copy the same thing that was doing.
They were. They
Yeah.
honestly were, especially during the time, because they had to like reflect it back. It's like, oh, he's a snack hole. He still has to eat. So even then, he's putting
Correct.
something in the microwave, cooking it like a chimichanga or something, woofing it down as he's doing all these events too, within a matter of milliseconds. And he's like, he realizes like, I'm on empty, because he's got that little meter about how much energy he has based
Yes.
upon his intake, because otherwise he has no energy and he can't actually run that fast.
Right.
Which
What
was
I liked about
nice.
that was the fact that so Barry says, hey, if I touch something, it gets affected. So like if you look at the one from like if you look at Quicksilver, so Quicksilver would just grab people. And even though the one thing Quicksilver did, which I thought was smart, was he would grab people and then just hold their heads so they didn't get whiplash.
Correct.
And then, speed them to safety. And if you think about the way he was doing it, you just took a human body and in less than 1,000th of a second, had them travel 3 football fields. That has to do something to the human body, that it has to destroy him. So what he in this movie was saying is like, if he did that to a human body, there are effects about that. So like, so when he saw the babies there was one baby that was about to, get hit with a scalpel. There was another one that was about. So instead of him moving the babies, what he did was he moved objects in the way to deflect other objects.
Yes.
In order for it not to affect the babies. And I thought that was really smart.
Yeah.
That was a very smart way of doing things.
And then the dog too.
Oh
which-
my god, he looks so damn CG. I will say that.
but it was humorous to the point where it kind
Yeah.
of like, it's like, all right, yeah, this isn't real. This is a fantasy world. This is a comic book movie. At the very end, with the ending credits, we do get more of the dog falling
Yeah,
and all the little things that he was going through during that falling scene, which is very humorous, and I do enjoy that. Now,
hey man,
mind you,
I'm allergic to dogs, and I would actually be on Benadryl if I had that dog in my life.
that whole scene itself, a little bit out there, but entertaining nonetheless. And I can understand it from a parent's point of view, if like the baby's falling down from a building, but he did save them in the end. Yeah, well, one of them was in a microwave. Well, that I can't condone because it was like, how long was that baby in that microwave at that point?
Seconds, maybe seconds, because because
But,
remember
but as a viewer and somebody who's a parent is looking at it going, this is literally over 5 minutes of me watching these things fall. That baby is still in that microwave. I am upset about this. But they don't realize it because they're not putting themselves out of this world and thinking of the idea of the character. He's super
Exactly.
fast. So that just not to defend it, but to let you people know, it's like, I understand your anger and issues with this, but in the end, fictitious, and the babies were saved.
Yeah, it's a movie where it's like, come on, just have just kind of have a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
I think the people that will enjoy that are the people. So I've seen parents that, and I've seen videos of this, and I always find them hilarious. Where you got parents that they have like, their babies, but they make the babies do things, or they put them in videos doing, and you can see the babies having a great time doing it. But it's
Mhm.
stuff that you would never see a parent probably do.
Nope.
And one of them was the funniest thing, where it's just like, how do I pick up stuff from the floor? So he has his baby on his hands, and he actually takes the baby, flips him upside down, and tells the baby, "You see that on the floor?" And you know how little babies just want to grab everything.
Mhm.
Sees it, grabs it, and then he pulls the baby back up, and he grabs it, and you see the baby with a big smile, and it's like, he's using the baby as a pickup stick, like those little sticks with the
Yeah,
little claw.
exactly. Right.
That's
Yeah.
basically what he's using the baby for. And I found it hilarious. And there are people out there that are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that to a child. And I'm like, human beings are very resilient. So stop it.
Oh man.
No, but it was great. It was great.
Yeah, that introduction scene and getting Ben back as Batfleck, just as Batfleck himself. We'd get to see him as Bruce because within that particular scene, I believe, or just after that, Barry realizes that he could go beyond the speed of light, or like, because he was reflecting, and then he wound up going beyond the speed of light, and then he realized, oh wow, I'm going through time.
Right.
He realized time was manipulated, and then he brought it up to Bruce, who we know as Ben Affleck, and even he states and gives him that code of warning of like, you don't want to mess with that. But I could save your parents. I could save my mom.
Right.
And then he even basically, it's like Bruce telling him and being the words of wisdom that he is, stating that it should just be as it is.
Correct. Because Bruce said it very well. He's like, we would not be the people we are if it wasn't for without those tragedies in our lives.
Yeah, the tragic events that resulted in their being who they are and their powers, or how they are.
Which means that they have saved a ton of people because of that, that one event in their lives, and him going back to do that can change so many things, of course. So
yeah, and then Barry winds up ignoring that possibility and then doing what he wants and going back at that point. And when he does do that, he literally realizes, well, before that was his realization was pretty funny because it was during the fall, and you see his head come out during the fall looking at the babies and everything else, while the other him, which is a previs version of him, is there. but he goes back to the time when his mother like passed away, and then he was able to go back even further from the reasoning of why, and it had to do with his father go back to get another can of tomatoes for the fact that
Right.
she was making pasta and stuff and she ran out of tomatoes.
So let's talk about that for a bit. So Nora Allen, who is played by Maribel Verdú,
Mhm.
which is a Latina actress,
Yes.
and in the movie, she has a Latin accent, and as a matter of fact, they're dancing so she's dancing a salsa song with Barry, which then all of a sudden
yeah.
like, so Barry's half Latino.
Yes.
And I've heard an uproar of so many people because like, oh, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And I'm like, again, I have no connection. I have no invested interest in the Flash or nothing like that. But I thought her part was played beautifully by this woman.
Yeah.
And those moments that she had with Barry were very tender, and just you could see why Barry wanted to save his mom so much because of the relationship he had with her and how he saw her. And that moment that you were talking about, in the supermarket, when he finally like says goodbye to her
in his own way, he puts the sunglasses on and she asks him to take it off, and then oh, you remind me of somebody, and literally she was just basically looking at her own son. That was such
a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
And and again, this is why it kind of pisses me off about Ezra Miller being, who he is now, but the way he portrayed the hurt in his face,
eyes,
and his eyes and everything, knowing that this is the only moment he'll ever have with his mom ever again, because he does have to now put the timeline back the way it was.
Yeah.
And, you could see that, wow, I'll just never have this again. And, and it's unfortunate. I thought that was such a really great scene. I mean, it touched me a lot. I mean, my eyes were welling up because I was like, wow. Because then I thought of my mom, would I have done the same thing for my mom? And I think I would have.
Yeah.
But so yeah, no, that was a beautiful scene, but that's why I want to talk about it, because I know that a lot of people had a problem with her being half Latina, or her being Latina and now Barry is half Latino, I guess.
Because Ron Livingston plays Henry Allen at that point.
And that's the other thing that people were upset about. Why couldn't they get the original actor from?
Well, that was Billy Crudup, and I really understand why they did that, and I understand why Billy Crudup dropped it. All right. So Billy Crudup has already been involved with another DC movie. He was called Watchmen. He played Dr. Manhattan. He didn't really want to come back. He probably thought that it was a one-off in the last, Justice League.
Right.
When they did that. So he probably thought, okay, I already did that, one and done. I've already been the Rocketeer. I've already been Dr. Manhattan. I've already played Henry Allen once. I don't need to be doing this again.
Oh, he's the guy that played the Rocketeer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And married Jennifer Connelly. But yeah, I know the look in your face.
He was that was her first husband? Or are you talking about?
Yeah, that was her first husband.
Okay.
So, no, she is currently married to the Vision himself.
Right.
So, but yeah, I could understand that. I had a little bit of an issue. I'm like, why is Ron Livingston in it? And I'm like, and I realized it, and I'm like, yeah, Billy Crudup didn't even come back for Watchmen, the TV show that came out a couple of years ago as well. Right. So he didn't come back as Dr. Manhattan. So they kind of eliminated that. I'm like, all right, because Billy Crudup is one of those actor, very much like Edward Norton. Have we seen Edward Norton come back as the Incredible Hulk again?
No, right.
After how many years? No. Well, that was his issues with Marvel and everything else, but he originally was looking to take a little bit of control. But I think the way that Billy Crudup was, is like he just didn't want to do it again. And they just got somebody who would be similar in looks to him, which would be Ron Livingston now, which is fine. Ron Livingston's a really good actor, and I really enjoy his work. We all remember him from Office Space. and and other movies like that.
Right.
So he's a great comedic actor, but in this case, he was a little bit comedic, but he knows how to do the drama as well.
Okay.
As far as Maribel Verdú, I thought she was amazing. That whole Latino issue, I had no problem with it whatsoever, for the fact that on TV we've had a brown-eyed kid playing Barry Allen for 7-8 seasons of The Flash on the CW with
Right.
Grant Gustin. And in the comics, Barry Allen is a blonde, blue-eyed white boy.
Right.
And I'm sorry, it's like, fine, I'll accept whoever and however they played them. You know,
Well, if you think about it, Supergirl, again, done by a Latina, nobody has a problem with that.
I had no problem with that either.
Nobody had a problem with her also having black hair, because usually, I mean, in the
She's
comic book,
blonde,
she's blonde.
normally, yeah,
So-
and blue eyes.
People praised, I mean, so far, people praised her for being Supergirl, and they wanted to see more of that Supergirl. So I don't understand why it's like it's okay for this, but not okay for the other.
I think it had to do with the whole Ezra Miller bashing at that point.
Could be.
It was like, oh, here's something else to throw at it. It's like, I already hate him. Well, this is the reason why. I'm like, all right, he was already in Justice League years ago. Did you enjoy his performance then? Yes, but now it's different. I'm like, you're trying to come up with a point and a reason to hate him more. And my attitude is like, don't go racist on that.
Well, I mean, it's despicable, the stuff that he's done.
It is, but don't be
it's-
racist about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
You know,
so
it's like-
stupid.
I completely agree on that.
Yeah, it's like I can only say it in one way. It's like you're just being racist.
Right.
But I really did, and she was amazing. I love that scene too. The way she was getting him to sing. Hey, I would love to eat her food. It's like she looked like she knew what the hell she was doing. Probably.
I'm glad you're
decent and
talking about
spicy.
food. The way you just said that, I will eat her. I was like, "Ah, are we going there?
No, we're not going there. I said food.
Food.
It's like,
Okay.
I want the
Jeez.
food. I'm hungry.
Oh man.
But
The
regardless,
other thing that I heard about was what's her name? Kelsey Clemens, who plays Iris West.
oh yes,
Yes. People are like, well, she's supposed to be white. And it's like, yeah. And somebody was saying, well, I don't know why they're following the CW thing.
I don't mind it.
I didn't mind it either. But again, that was
It's all
again,
racist BS.
there's just so many people that are just putting so many things to this movie on reasons why they should not watch
Or
it. Or,
it's literally just bashing the movie.
yeah,
and
bashing the movie and stuff like
to
that.
me,
which-
it's like no. All right, let's go to a different reality where Ezra Miller didn't do any of that. Would this movie do well? I think it would.
I think
And
it would have
wouldn't
done.
get
I
as
think
backlash.
with the same crap that's been happening with Warner Brothers, I think it would have done slightly better. Maybe
Yes.
it would have done 400 million
Correct.
instead of the 200 million, but it would not have done the 900 or $900
$1
million
billion that they were looking at.
dollars that they wanted.
Yeah,
It would have just done slightly better. It's just that a lot of people I feel that are they also don't want to get invested in a movie that it's like, oh, so now this is not part of that other universe. And
especially with everything changing too, and
Correct.
it's like
So-
they just basically abandoned it. Don't abandon your what you love or have interest in, everybody. That's all I could say. If you
Yeah.
really like something like it, I went out to see this in the theater. I enjoyed it.
again, I enjoyed it too. I mean,
So
I could start nitpicking it, of course, but I enjoyed it too.
exactly. It's like we can nitpick all we want about this particular movie, but I thought the actors, all of them did well, including Ezra Miller.
Right.
And I of all things too, it was like, which leads me, as soon as he goes back in time, him dealing with himself. And I thought the funniest thing I ever heard on a podcast that Kevin Smith had said about his daughter when they were watching this movie was, do you think he got paid twice, Dad? Because he was paying two Barry Allens. And I thought that was hilarious that Harley would actually ask that of her father.
But
it's
that's
like,
a good question.
I don't think he got paid twice.
That depends. That all depends on your. I think that depends on your manager. If your manager's saying so, he has to play two parts, and it's basically 80% of the movie. Shouldn't he get twice the money? But it all depends on your star power too on that.
That as well right. Too. Yeah, he's fairly new. If you think within the past 10 years, I would say he's that new as far as an actor in status. And I don't think he garnered that. And this was supposed to be the one where he would be able to garner that kind of money where it's like, yeah, I could request $2 million. I'm like Emma Stone.
20 million, 20, 30 million.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
whatever it is. It's like, some people think of themselves that way. But
yeah,
honestly, the one thing that I did enjoy, and I've already mentioned it, and I kind of made that joke. It's like my favorite, Batman Returns 2 movie. The fact that we get Michael Keaton, he goes back in time. Not only does he, Ezra has to deal with working with himself, losing a tooth,
right?
And dealing with the whole tomato can debacle. He takes the tomato can, puts it in a cart, and that's really what sets everything into junction. But he gets thrown out by Dark Flash into this time where he has to deal with himself, and then they go seek out Batman. And he doesn't tell him. He's just like, we need to go seek out Bruce Wayne. Why? Well, he's important, this and that. And then he doesn't tell his other younger self who Bruce Wayne is. And then he goes, wait. And then during the whole thing, it's like, wait, Bruce Wayne is Batman?
It's funny because so when I watched it, I enjoyed, don't get me wrong. I mean, I still like Michael Keaton as Batman. It's still not my favorite, but I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed him being back in that role.
Yeah.
My question throughout, and it was so funny because I was like, and they somehow explained it. But my question was, when he started fighting.
Oh, that wasn't him.
I was like, where was that Batman?
That's exactly why.
In the Tim Burton movies, because in the Tim Burton movies, he was very stiff. It was the fighting in those movies just sucked.
Oh, yeah.
So, but in this, he was just like almost up there with like the Ben Affleck stuff.
Yes.
And then later I hear that I think the director said that the Michael Keaton Batman of this universe is not the same one from the Tim Burton one.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, okay. I think I'll accept that, I guess, as an excuse. But they had that icon. They had the great thing about it is the Batwing. I love the Batwing. I had a few issues with some of the physics of what it could do. But it's like somebody says out there, it's comic books. But I like the fact that they took the Batwing, and when they were they dropped out of the Batwing, in the background there was the moon, so they had the Batwing and the moon again.
Yes, we got that homage.
In the shot. Yeah, that homage. I thought that was actually really good, and they had the soundtrack of Danny Elfman.
Yeah, Danny Elfman's soundtrack was in there, and it was like I said, it's a Batman Returns movie again, better action, everything that we always wanted from a Keaton movie, and we got it. So we got the Keaton Batman twice, in my opinion. So I was like, I honestly, before we even got Batfleck or Clooney or Kilmer or any of that stuff, or even what's his name, Nolan's Batman as well. And
yeah.
But before we even got that, all we had was Keaton back in 1989. And to me, I saw that in the theater, and I had like a dedicated, like, particular ticket to go see that movie. I loved it. So for the longest time, Keaton was my movie Batman until we got Batfleck, because as soon as I heard that Ben was going to be Batman for, the first iteration of it, I was like, he's going to hit it out of the park, and he's going to be and he was, and still is. I really would want him to come back. He's slated to come back one more time for Aquaman.
In what? Is he?
Yes.
Huh.
For the next Aquaman movie. So he's slated to make another appearance as Bruce Wayne / Batman in Aquaman 3. So I'm looking forward to that because that'll be the last time we get to see him.
Yeah, you could
hopefully.
tell he loves the character, man. I mean,
He loved that character. He was really invested in it. I think it just took a toll on his life because he invested so much in trying to do that independent, like that standalone Batman movie.
right.
And with the arguments with the actual movie company itself, Warner Brothers, and production and everything else, and taking control, and it just kind of got lost. And then he lost himself and lost his mind a little bit, and went back to drinking and dealing. And he was also dealing with a divorce
Correct.
at that time as well. So he did lose himself. So I'm sure he's a little bit scarred from it. I wouldn't put it past
Very
him.
scarred. Have you seen the tattoo that he has on his back?
Oh yes.
The big phoenix tattoo.
Yes, I have. Oh my goodness.
Oh, poor guy.
Poor guy. Well, it's J-Lo's problem now. She gets to see that every morning.
Yep.
But I look forward to the fact that we could have that possibility of him later on down the road. I could literally see him in a Batman Beyond movie
Right.
and taking hold and teaching out a new young Batman. Actually, that's part of some of the news later on that we'll get into, because there was something else that was supposed to happen beyond this movie that they just ejected completely, and why we don't have a Batgirl movie that came out.
Well, yeah. Well,
That
we
woman.
know that already, but
but literally, we got the Keaton version that I always wanted. Majority of the movie is literally with Keaton in it. His spaghetti incident, where he explains how time works, was amazing. And I thought it was great, and how he kind of summed it all up with spaghetti. And then, of course,
I don't know if time travel physics were correct on that. I mean, real world time travel, but this is comic book physics, so
yeah, exactly. And on top of that, the nods that we got for alternate realities was amazing fun as well. Like,
right.
I still want to see that Eric Stoltz Back to the Future movie they have in that particular universe, just to see what it's like. And maybe that Top Gun movie with Michael J. Fox.
Oh my God, that would be. Do you want to get into some of the spoilers on? So for
we already are spoiling.
Yeah, we're in spoilers, but like towards the end.
Sure.
With all so I liked the fact that when he was in the Speed Force and he got to see all these different versions of, Superman, Flash, Superman, Batman, and all that they showed Christopher Reeve.
Yep.
They showed Adam West as the Batman, but they also showed Nicolas Cage, the version of Superman that he was supposed to do.
Yep, Kevin Smith's scripted Superman film that never got completed, but they put a spider in there that he was battling from that script.
Yeah, because the director was into spiders and stuff like that. But so they had like all these little versions, which I was like, first of all, a lot of people criticize, it looks very CG, and from what the director was
that was
defending.
my issue with it. It looked a little bit CG, but I figured within a year they could easily just ramp it up. Now, mind you, there was a few times when you saw Christopher Reeve and Supergirl, I'm forgetting her name, but they when they were flying together, that looked a little bit more realistic.
Right.
The Nicolas Cage, they could have done a little bit more touch up in the CG to make it a little bit more realistic than it was, but I accepted it.
Yeah.
We got George Reeves, Superman, in there as well.
That was in there.
Yeah, we got the Adam West. There was somebody else there as Jay Garrick. But speculation is, and everybody reached out to John Wesley Shipp asking, is that you? And he's like, no. And then everybody kept speculating because it looks like the CW version of Jay Garrick.
It does.
And it's not Teddy Sears, because Teddy Sears went on Twitter and stating flat out, that is not me. Literally, if that was him, they would have to pay likeness rights to him for that purpose.
Correct.
And if they didn't, and somebody analyzes it and goes, yeah, that's Teddy, he's going to get a payday out of that in some way. Well, not a huge payday.
Good luck on the 25 cents he's going to get, for that, because it's like you were saying, maybe they could invest, in try to, fix the CG. I
Yeah.
doubt Warner Brothers will invest a penny in this to try to make it any better.
No, they
But according to the director,
won't.
he said that that was done on purpose, and maybe that's an excuse, but he said that was done on purpose
Okay.
to make it seem a little more like not of this world or something like that. Which I was like, oh, well, okay. But yeah, those were actually, but they were cool scenes. I
They
mean,
were. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
admit it. Yeah, I really did enjoy them. I'm not saying I didn't.
And there's a big part of me that after seeing Nicolas Cage with his long hair and all that stuff, I'm like, I'm so glad they never made that movie.
They could still do a movie with them, trust me.
Oh no, not right now. They can't. But it was just one of those things. Like, oh, okay. I mean, they had some really cool things in there. I thought. I mean, that whole part in the end was, I thought, pretty cool. I don't know.
Well, the way that with that whole time warp lapse and you got worlds colliding at that point, because that's literally what it was, is
Right.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's all worlds colliding into one super event, and that's what they couldn't really allude to because this is just Flashpoint at this point. This is not
Right.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. That was like a comic book, huge comic book series at that
Right.
point for DC, along with Secret Wars for Marvel was back in the day as well, because I remember when those two particular runs were huge, just like the Dark Knight Returns, and this was just tapping on that, very much similar to what CW did with Infinite Crisis, and that was done pretty well for what they could do with the budget they have for a TV show and the
Right.
characters that they had, but with this, I thought it was done very well, just the same, for the fact that honestly, this is our last hurrah until we get the James Gunn universe that's out there and see what he could do when it comes to these particular IPs that are out there when it comes to DC and
Right.
movie for these characters. It's very hard, and
Yeah.
I look forward to what we get. But for what we got here, yeah, that whole little swirling worlds colliding event. Like I said, the only drawback I had was the CG. I know other people out there like yourself, Rob, were like, I'm happy with what I got because of what we got there, which is good. And I'm not saying I'm not happy. I really enjoyed it because I was like, oh wow, look who it is. Oh wow, look who it is.
I tell people, because some people are like, oh, did you like it? And blah. And I say, look, here's how
movies work.
No, more of here's how I have been approaching these superhero movies, right? This has not been a good year for superhero movies at all. You got two superhero movies that were good. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and definitely Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Right? So the other ones, what is it? Shazam, this one, it's really making people just go, they're done.
2 out of 5 ain't bad.
Yeah, I'm at that point where stuff have gotten so screwed up that I'm just taking it in as it's coming.
Yeah.
And when people, start, I laugh. I have to laugh because I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, it's just Warner Brothers has really made it where they don't make me care for these movies. If they wanted to like take the Justice League and just have them, in a skit, like, like the show Friends, where they're all sharing an apartment, and they make it a comedy, I would have accepted that too, because at this point, things are just until if James Gunn can just bring back my faith in this, then great. But if not, and then of course Marvel being Marvel these last year and a half or whatever it is, also has kind of shaken my faith on that. I've taken superhero movies to the point where it's like I just take it in as it is. If it's enjoyable, sure. If not, I could care less at this point if it's that accurate or not, because I'm just done.
Well, a lot of people are seeing this as the twilight of like the superhero films too.
Yeah.
Like it's had its run very much like the Westerns back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Right.
And then they got to the point of spaghetti Westerns were like kind of phased out.
They're still being done, and I think in Europe, but let me tell you, spaghetti Westerns were great.
Yeah, but I'm just saying even like superhero films are still great. But I don't think we're gonna see as much in comparison based upon like what we had stated before with Kevin Feige, where
Yeah.
they want to do quality over quantity. Now they could still do whatever the hell they want over there in Marvel with their Disney Plus platform.
Right.
Max could still do what they need to do with their DC properties as far as with Teen Titans, because those shows have been doing well, and a lot of them have been doing well. The Teen Titans is like they had to move it. There was only one show that was in contention that they had to cancel over the years that I really wanted and I was looking forward to, and Derek Mears was great at it when he was in it, was Swamp Thing. And they just they
I
ended
heard a
that
lot of good things about that. I haven't seen it yet because
Oh,
it's still out there.
it's still out there. It's a whole season.
Yeah.
And they actually had to redo the last 2 episodes and combine them to make it one full episode, according to Derek when I talked to him about it.
Right.
But they they had opportunities, but it's a lot about the company itself and where they're projecting. Apparently, Kevin Feige saw where the direction was going with Marvel, what wasn't working, and what will be working, and that's why they're redoing a lot of things. That's why we're getting a new cut of the Marvels before the Marvels even comes out, because the previous stuff for it, people didn't want to see it when they were going to the screeners of what they had. They're like, "Oh, we don't want that," and then they had to backtrack and change that. We have issues with Jonathan Majors with his situation, and they're banking their world on Kang the Conqueror. So
Well, now I hear that they actually have maybe proof that he didn't do the things that he did.
I heard that too. Yeah, the jury
so-
came out and pronounced him, and then somebody backed him up. But yeah, there's so much that's out there, so they're probably going to be vetting a lot of the actors that they have
Right.
regarding certain events, because this was one of those movies, just like with Jonathan Majors with the Kang stuff with
Mhm.
Marvel. You got Ezra Miller, so they kind of vetted that, and at this point, they could recast, because with James Gunn, they're going to reboot everything.
Right.
And they could easily, they already found their new Superman, and
I saw that.
and I'm curious because guy looks too young in my opinion, and the way
Well,
he looks,
remember that this is supposed to be like the first few years that or like, just like his, like the Batman Begins kind of thing, where it's like,
Yeah.
his first year or two of being Superman.
yeah,
So of course he's going to be young, but when you look at him, like when I first looked at him, like just my quick reaction to it was like, he looks a little like Henry Cavill. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Once again, you find somebody that looks like Henry Cavill, but you won't hire Henry Cavill. Henry, what did you do?
Oh, well, let's talk about a little bit more with Henry Cavill's co-stars from Man of Steel, who came back for this movie in The Flash.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
I
thought he was great.
He was great as General Zod, but recent interviews with him regarding his portrayal, because he's not one to do sequels. I guess they threw him some decent amount of money.
Right.
And
he said he did it for the money.
He literally did it for the money. He's at that point. So I guess if you throw a lot of money at somebody, they'll take it and they'll do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said, I felt like an action figure being moved along a certain way to play this role. And look at Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons came back as Alfred Pennyworth again.
Right.
And, everybody else came back, which was fine. But I don't think with the other people, with I don't think with Gal, with Ben, and Jason Momoa coming back as those characters, like spoilers, yes, that there's an end credit scene with Arthur Curry and Barry Allen, but I think they did it because they liked the idea and they wanted to complete being more of a completionist within their character to do something. Plus, there's still going to be an Aquaman 3 that comes out.
Well, yeah, but from what I hear, the the test screenings on that have been atrocious. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we'll
the
see.
company has already invested enough money to the point because it's more upon what they paid out for Batgirl or Batwoman
Right.
that was supposed to come out, but they canceled. So I don't think they're just going to throw it off to the side because Momoa still has sellability for the movies. You know, he was in the last Fast and the Furious movie, so he's obviously going to be drawing crowds to the
Right.
theaters just because he's in it, and every woman wants to see him without a shirt on. So
I want to see him without a shirt on. And I'm a straight man.
uh, just buy a lot of his wine. He has dedicated wine that he sells online too.
Does he
So,
really?
yeah,
I'm a
he
big
does.
wine person, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, my friend Ben bought a couple of bottles one year, and then it was hard to come by at one point. And
Jason Momoa wine.
yeah, look for it.
I gotta look for that. Yeah.
All these people came back because of the credibility of the show and the characters that they portrayed. So I'm glad that we got that. And then I loved how the story arc, when it comes to actual movie itself, the story arc, and how they were able to do it, the futility and what Barry was doing, because obviously, spoilers, he winds up encountering his dark self, is the reason why he got pushed into that same universe where he was 18 years old and he's like 26 years old. And, you know, you got 26-year-old Barry Allen being called Old Barry, and you get the young Barry.
Right.
But the reason why that comes into play is during that battle scene with Zod, and it was a Kobayashi Maru for Barry Allen. He couldn't beat it, and
anything he did, it was not going to work. Yeah.
And it wasn't going to work. And we saw Batman die several times. We saw Kara Zor-El die several times as well.
Right.
And it was so sad to see, but. And then we see the redemption of like Keaton Batman. He just like he literally purposely kills himself.
Yes.
At one point, and and just to give a little bit more of my love of that Batman, when they were just the fun part of this Keaton Batman that I just love is like when they get to the point in Russia and they're breaking out Kara Zor-El. And he realizes it's not Batman. He goes, all right, we don't have the right person. Let's get the hell out of here. He's like ready to ditch her because it's not Superman. Let's go. Screw this chick. and then on top of that, they get to that point of like trying to leave to get back to the bat plane above the prison. He gets like a little measuring tape that he goes, oh, how much do you weigh? How much do you both weigh? And it was like back to Batman 1989 again. Right. And it's like, but at least there's no joke. It's like, yeah, you weigh 129. And it's like none of that anymore. But he brings out like typical math. He's using a ruler. The figure is explosive because it's weighted for the amount of weight of people. So he has to time it right. I thought that was perfect, the way they actually created that particular Batman and how driven he was. And it was true to the character that Keaton played in 89, as well as in Batman Returns.
Right.
And a couple of years after that. But yeah, I just love that we got that. And then, you know, a lot of credit to Sasha Calle too, for her portrayal as Kara Zor-El too, because you could see there was a lot of heart and a lot of people like, they love her so much they want her to come back. It's like they can easily bring her back if they need.
Unfortunately, this I think might be her only movie that she'll ever do. Supergirl.
Yeah. But yeah, just to throw in a few motivation, but the story points that I like is that how they were able to utilize the can of tomatoes as a MacGuffin. And as a MacGuffin in a room that's there because that's how Barry was able to put it in his mother's cart and change things, and then he has to go back and put it back just to make things all right again. Right. And it's good, true to the storytelling of what they were doing within this, and that's really what matters most, is how you start off and how you end it. Was it the greatest of time travel movies? Not really.
No.
Was it entertaining? Yes. So, in a nutshell, for me, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, they it's a shame that we're not going to see this universe again, but we got it for what it is, and that's the beauty of having your own DVDs, and especially buy the damn DVDs. That's what I tell everybody: buy your media, because the way streaming services are doing things now, where they're just putting things in and then they take it away because they don't want to pay some of the actors or writers,
or
because
even
of
a licensing.
the
too.
licensing, they'll license it to somebody else. It's just a mess out there. So that's why I like owning my own media. I could always revisit these things.
Mhm.
Even when you go to iTunes and let's say you buy a movie for, I don't know, $5, $10, whatever it is. If the studio for some reason feels that it should not be a stream, iTunes can then take that away from your library, even though you paid for it, and you cannot see it. But guess what?
You're literally paying for the licensing of that movie for your iTunes collection. Is literally
exactly
what you're doing.
You're not paying. You're not owning the movie. You're paying a license for that movie. So that's why I like owning my media, because you know what? I have it on disc. So if I can't find it anywhere else, I could, I always have the disc version of that. But that's, that being said, I just think that it's a shame that these things have gotten, been in a big mess.
Well,
it's a great universe to explore.
Mhm.
Marvel and DC have always been very different from each other.
Mhm.
And I think Marvel for the first 10 years did
Amazing.
a phenomenal job with what they did. It's the next 10 years that, we got to see where it's going to go. But DC from the very beginning hasn't gotten it right. And I wish they did, because these are some very beloved characters. I was never a big DC person, but I did get into it. And especially like Batman and some of the things with Superman, I really, really got into those characters and I liked them a lot. And I just wish they could do them justice. So
yeah,
that's my biggest thing on that. What did you? By the way, what did you think of Clooney coming out of the?
Well, that actually goes into my interesting facts of like the movie itself. So there were three particular endings that were involved with this particular movie. They filmed it. So at the very end, for the first one, that the director himself, Andy Muschietti, he came up with the original idea. And originally it was supposed to be Barry meets Supergirl and Keaton's Batman at the end.
Right.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was supposed to be Supergirl, Superman, Gadot's Wonder Woman, and Ben Affleck's Batman at the jury steps when his father was praised. They changed that. And then they said, all right, well, you go back and redo this. So that's when Warner Brothers comes in and go, all right, well, you need to do Supergirl and Keaton's Batman at the very end, because if you see some of the trailers, there's a visage of Supergirl coming down in front of the jury steps, from front of the courthouse steps. So you see her, and that's when Keaton would come up. There are still images of you see Keaton coming out of a limousine with the gray hair, meeting up with Barry. That was actually promoted stuff before the movie. We even got a trailer.
Oh, I remember that, where people was like, "Oh my God, it's Keaton back as Bruce Wayne."
Correct, and those were early on filming occurrences in front of the courthouse. So it was like I think the one with Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill, that one, where they see Barry in the front coming down and his father's been exonerated, and then you see Batfleck show up in a limo and they're there and they congratulate and saying, hey, Barry, it's back to work again, let's go. And then that's how it leads off to. And then the company said, all right, well, no, we don't want that. And then Muschietti goes, oh, okay, well, Barry meets Supergirl and Keaton's Batman. And then they did that. So they thought that was going to be the finalized one. And then it wasn't until the after that James Gunn was brought in and hands were shook and contracts were signed, things got changed from the narrative so that they they're like, well, you know what? We're going to redo this. And literally within a month before the movie was put out in theaters, they filmed a scene with Ezra Miller. And that's where Clooney came in. Now, mind you, it was a closed off set, and he was able to come in, do it. And there was talks. And then this is where somebody had said on a podcast saying that there was talks about what was going on set during that day when Clooney showed up. And apparently Clooney gave a bit of advice like during the day as they were filming to Ezra Miller of how to present yourself in media and in the world through your celebrity. He basically gave him the Batman shame on you, Barry. And gave him that talk. And that's why we haven't seen or heard a lot from Ezra Miller regarding this movie and any promotion and anything, or even talking to publicity.
Well, that's a Warner Brothers decision. They don't want him to be in front of the media. And as a matter of fact, I remember that a Hollywood executive out there actually said that probably having the writer strike is a good thing for Warner Brothers, because since, you always have these talk shows that are made for, you have celebrities come on, they pitch their movies and things like that to promote the movies.
Yeah.
In this case, since there are no talk shows because of this writer strike, there is no way for any of these celebrities to actually pitch, of course, the movie. But it was a good way of having, because then if you have, let's say, if you have Michael Keaton come out there, you have Ben Affleck, you have, Sasha Calle, all those people come out there, not Ezra Miller, into these talk shows.
Yeah.
They say that probably that could have been even more damaging, because they're like, so where is the star of this thing? So by not having none of those shows there, no one comes on. And that's kind of an excuse to say, oh, this is a reason why, Ezra Miller didn't come out there. So, but they also, I think, from what I've heard too, was that Warner Brothers made sure to have Ezra Miller pretty much calm down for this last year and a half. That's why you haven't really heard much about him, because he's been in rehab, he's been in a mental health facility to get treated and all these things. So, it's there's a lot of things out there.
Yeah.
Which are true, I'm not sure. But I did like having George Clooney there, because I have always said, and I'll still stand by this, I have always said that the actor, George Clooney, could have been a fantastic Batman in the right hands, right? Because even Ben Affleck under Joe Schumacher would have been horrible.
Oh, yeah.
So George Clooney has, I mean, when you look at George Clooney, first of all, he has the great looks. He has the swagger. So he could portray a billionaire Bruce Wayne perfectly. And if done right, he could have done the Batman part right too, with the right story. It's just that never happened. So the fact that they did this towards the end, I was surprised that he did it, but he has always made fun of himself for the role in Batman. And he always brings that up, and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. And I was when I saw that, I was like, I respect them for visiting the character again and just having a sense of humor about it. Not like other actors, I was like, I will never touch that actor again. I will never do another DC movie again, or whatever.
They actually wanted Christian Bale at one point. They actually reached out, and he said no.
Well, from what I heard also was that the director said the reason there was not a lot of different other DC properties there is that they had way too much that they could have included in that last piece where they had all because one of them was going to be Christian Bale as Batman, and the other one's going to be probably like some of the WB stuff.
Oh yeah,
there.
They did film that stuff for
they had like a lot. They had a lot of property that they could have used, and they had to nitpick and choose what they could put in there, what they couldn't put in there because of time and things like that. So
a lot of people call it the Grant Gustin snub, because they kind of disregarded the that universe, the CW.
Right. Well, listen, man. I mean, again, and as a matter of fact, the Berlanti universe, I mean, that's gone
Yeah, it
because
is. It's over.
it's over. So that universe and the Zack Snyder universe are completely washed out. I mean, enjoy for what it is, and we'll just have to see what they're going to come up with.
Yeah, it is true. We did get like one little like after credit scene, which was pretty funny with Arthur Curry and Barry, and Barry's just telling him all the difference and stuff that he saw in these multiverses where it was a different version of Batman and Superman and
Right.
stuff like that. And then he goes, "Yeah, but Aquaman was always you. It was always you, Arthur. It always looked like you." And then he just falls out, passed out, drunk in a puddle. He goes,
Yeah,
"Come on, Arthur, we gotta go home." He goes, "I
I
am home, Barry."
I thought that was a stupid fucking scene. I'm sorry,
It
but
was a
it's just
throwaway scene, is what they
it
did.
was just a dumb scene where I wish that scene, if James Gunn would have been a smarter man, say, hey, we're gonna refilm that scene where Barry all of a sudden sees glimpses of what's to come. And then James Gunn could have just said, listen, I don't care if we just do it as CG, but
Yeah.
we could show Superman that's not Henry Cavill. We could show, Blue Beetle. We could show
Yeah.
some of these other things that he already announced.
Mm-hmm.
I think, because movies are, they edit movies up until like the last minute that it's almost, released.
That is true.
So they could have done something where they're like, okay, so that could have been, and then you could have said, okay, it's true. This movie does make a transition from that universe to the next one.
Mhm.
But no, this was just, Jason Momoa getting drunk and passing out. And I was just like, that was
Terrible.
I mean, it's always great to see Jason Momoa as Aquaman, but that was just terrible, man.
It was.
It was horrible. By the way, his wine is called Dirtbag Wine.
Yep.
So, because I was looking it up to see if I could I can't find it anywhere.
Oh man, yeah. I remember when Ben brought that. I have to say what it was about like 6 years ago that we all got together and he brought it too, like a get together, and we all had a little bit of it. It was pretty good. It wasn't bad.
All righty.
All right. Well, that was our coverage of the Flash. So yeah, if you guys have any thoughts of your own that you want to put in for the Flash, we didn't get anything. But that's where we get into the whole point of the podcast of where you could send your feedback. So with that, I did put an image for you guys to on Facebook. So facebook.com /panels to pixels. And literally there was an image and I said, put your comments in the comment section down below. You didn't really do so, but it's still there if you ever want to. And you could also email us at panels to pixels1@gmail.com, and that could be a texted out email. You could just type it all out, send it our way. We could read it off the next time we're on. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the time of the podcast, or you could record yourself and send it as an attachment, and you could just send that to panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels 2 is spelled out to pixels and the number 1@gmail.com. We could be found on Amazon. Well, Instagram. Sorry, Amazon.
You could be. I was gonna say you could be found in Amazon.
Well, Amazon Music. Amazon Music for podcasts.
Okay,
Yes,
that's true.
you can.
That's true.
So yeah, we can be found on Instagram at panels2pixels podcast, all one wording, spelled out exactly as it is, at panels2pixels podcast. Twitter is at panels2pixels, and that's panels the number 2 and then pixels. But yeah, if you guys want to send any feedback, that would be great. Just tell us your thoughts about what you thought of the Flash 2023 or any of the other stuff that we're covering right now on Panels to Pixels podcast, like Secret Invasion that we're currently covering. We have another 4 episodes to be doing this week, coming up until the series is over for the season. Hopefully it comes back again. We'll find out. But this is where can listeners hear you, Rob?
You can listen to me on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition, which is part of your network, the Pirate Core Entertainment.
Yep.
And our next one, I believe we just did the top 5 Harrison Ford movies
Yes.
draft, which of course you were part of, and that should be coming out soon. So I'm not sure when this will be coming out, but it either comes out before this or after this. So look out for that.
Yeah, it depends on when I'm finished editing, probably during the week. But we'll see when it comes out. Obviously, you could hear me here on Panels to Pixels podcast as always.
You can.
Steve couldn't make it this one on this particular episode, but he will be on Secret Invasion when we cover that. So you could listen to the first episode and the second episode now. We have another 4 more to go. After that, we will find out because of what comes out, or if not, we will come up with a subject. You could also hear me on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, where I had just released The Thing 2011. By the time this comes out, most likely I'll already have edited and put out for Big Trouble in Little China, which is a review that my friend Jamie Dimmick and Jerry Gomez have covered. And you can still send out feedback there. All you have to do is send that to adrenalincinemapodcast@gmail.com. But that particular podcast, all we do is action, adventure, fantasy, suspense, thriller films, basically anything that gets your adrenaline going. So you can find me there. So that's it for now, everybody. I just want to thank you all for listening. Same podcast, different panel, different pixel. And this was Panels to Pixels, and we'll see you in the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night.